Hi, welcome to Barvotti's 50th live screening of Tools for Creatives. I am Phoebe Bradbury, and today I will be demonstrating some of the tools that I use every day in my art studio. I wouldn't want to be without them, and I find new uses for them all the time. There will be promotional offers during the program, and the promo codes will be active during the demonstration and for about half an hour. The current time is 12 noon Central, February the 18th, 2022, and right now the promotions are only available on amzn.to. Today we are going to be doing things a little bit differently, so please be patient with us. We're going to try and show a lot more artwork being made, and we will be demonstrating the tools as we go. So here I am back again, and I'm going to do a very quick rundown of the tools that we have in stock right now. These are the Mottlers, 3-inch, 2.5, 2-inch, 1.5, and 1-inch. And I will be using these, so I'm not going to spend too much time on demonstrating them. But this is a medium fine silicone blade. The blade is the active end, as you will see when we get started here, and they have very sturdy non-wooden handles, and they have a hole in the end, which makes them very great for being able to hang up in your studio. Am I right? Am I in the picture, Previn? Yeah. Yes, good. I'm not looking at the monitor, I'm looking at the tools. Okay, so those are the tools. I wanted to show you the sides of the 3-inch tool and the 1-inch tool, and to show you that they are exactly the same blade, so there's no skimping on the smaller size of the tools. These are what's available here. And today we also are going to be using some of these. There's just quite a lot to use, and they have many. And what I'm looking at here is 2 different sizes of shaper sets. They both have the same number. And there's a couple other things down in the bottom there too, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They both have the same number of ends on the tools, but they are different sizes. And these ones are covered with paint, or have a bit of paint, because I only have one set to demonstrate right now, and I didn't clean them off properly yesterday. They're very easy to clean. You usually just take a damp cloth and give them a wipe, and particularly the mottler ends. When I'm dealing with here, I'm dealing with the metallic paint. Sometimes that's a little harder. That's why these have bits of gold. We used metallic paint last time, and we're going to be using metallic paint today. So, okay, so just to show you the ends. And this is the 1 centimeter one here, and I'm going to show you, this is the chisel tip end, and you'll notice it has a nice long blade here and a very pointy end, so you can use it for making all kinds of marks. This one here, just to explain the difference, this is the straight chisel, and the end of the straight chisel on each of the sets is the size of the set. So this is 1 centimeter along here. This one has a blade that's a little longer because it's at an angle. It's probably, I don't know, not quite, it's about 1.33 centimeters. But they just make slightly different marks. That's what's true about them. This is the cup chisel. I'll bring it up a little closer. It's very firm. It's exactly the same silicone, but because of the shape, it's quite firm and good for moving larger amounts of paint. And then there's a different kind of, I think this is the cup chisel, or is this a cup chisel? No, this is a round chisel. So it's got a rounded end. Also a good firm size for moving heavy paints. They can all be used for blending charcoal or pastels, so they're good for that. And they're also often used, I use them if I'm carving plasticine or a clay and I need to get edges smoothed out, so that's what I use. So that's kind of our demo for today on that. I'm going to introduce you to Sandy Welsh. You got that ready, Previn? Previn?
Yeah.
I'd like to introduce Sandy Welsh, an online artist on Instagram, and she will be painting with the 1-inch modeler, and then she will do some scratching through with the 3-inch modeler. Now, the reason I've chosen Sandy Welsh this time is that we're not going to be doing that today. We'll be doing something else with these, just to demo something a little differently. So this is what, am I on there now?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the 1-inch modeler she'll be using, and this is the 3-inch modeler.
Let's see. I'm going to go back to my little rubber spatula here. She had that big ball of dark. And then we'll go over it again with a lighter blue, but this will be underneath. So are we getting to look like this ocean? See? This is really cool. Where do you get them? Oh, I ordered them from Amazon. They look like, where's my big one? I think they're called shapers. I've got 2 of them. I got the bigger one. They're not expensive either. I got this one. I think if you just put in paint shapers, this will come up. They're nice, and you can use the tips if you want to sort of scratch out. Yeah. They had a couple different sizes, but I like them. It's the first time I've started using them.
Are we back? Okay, so today, because there's been interest in it, I'm going to just sort of get right into making one of these paintings here. It's black with gold applied to it in ridges, which I've made a special tool for doing that. And so we're going to have a set of these. And we already have one other one. That's one of the more recent ones we've done, and we've done a number on fine Yupo paper. So these are done on board, and these are done on Yupo paper. And you're looking at these, I'm sure, and thinking, well, wait a minute, these are flat blades. How do we do that? So this is where I'm going to use the flat blades at one point, but actually the main blade that we're going to do to get this is this blade that we made ourselves just by very carefully incising. Well, not that carefully. The careful part of it was that always the part sticking out was narrower than the part going up, so that the V's are wider than the part sticking out. And the reason we did that is because we wanted more gold and less black. So if you look at some of these, there's one where we had a different type of, well, we actually used two of these blades. This one here, and I think I had the other one over here somewhere. Anyway, they were blades which were much rougher, and they had a pretty much even amount. Well, how do I get my hand over there? Even amount of the ends were even. So the other one, they have V's, so these little tips are quite narrow, and that's where the black. That's where this one is. There's this one here. I don't know what I did. Oh, there's the other one. Yep. So I was holding two of these, and as a result, we got a lot of black and very little gold. And then when we moved to the other one, we started to get a lot more gold and a lot more black. And we also played with some of the colors. So today I'm just going to show you how I mix them. Here's one, a more advanced one that we've done more recently to give you like that we're starting to now use the swirls in a very different way. So, and what I would like to do today is instead of using the gold, boy, we're going, I'm going to turn it into a pink gold or a gold that's sort of reddish. So we're going to add some red color to that, and then we're just going to play with it on that. I have a few others that were made similarly to these, and I'll show them to you as I find them as we go along. So the thing about using this is that I'm using an acrylic paint, and it's a metallic acrylic paint. I don't have, it's in here, and in this it looks a little bit more gold. I'll put a little bit on here and you can see the difference. This is going to be mixed up anyway. So that looks very gold. And this one, which is what we're going to use, has a bunch of thickener in it. And the thickener, when it is wet, is cloudy, but when it dries, it sparkles. So even though these ones had a lot of cloudiness in them, you can see they came out really nice and sparkly. So it looks like we're dealing with something that's, not quite as nice as what the end product, as what we want it to be, but it will be completely sparkly when it's done. And what I've added to this, to give it the red, is a transparent red. This is a quinacridone red. And that's what I used with that other one. I might have added, no, I don't think I did add yellow because, I hope I didn't add too much. Now the reason I use transparent is because if you use an opaque color, excuse me, got to get a popsicle stick. Oh, there was one in there. When you use an opaque color, it will just go right over you'll lose the metallic look, because the metallic is basically made by tiny particles of metallic, in this case metallic gold colors, in a clear resin, a clear, you call it a clear medium if you wanted to. So there's a little bit of gold color in there, and then there's all of these particles. So if we want this to continue to shine, we've got to use a a transparent color so we can get the shine come through. So with this, so today is the first time we didn't start right at the beginning. We're starting in the middle. And that's because we've started at the beginning so many times with a lot of these that it's time to start having some of the show about, going on to the next step or having more time for sort of not always the basic steps. So today we're experimenting with, and this is our 50th show, so we're allowing ourselves to experiment a little bit with, getting down to doing different things, and also we want to start, writing on our shows which things we're doing. So there'll be a sort of like a table of contents or something like that, and we'll be able to tell people what they will see when they watch these. Our live shows are all on Amazon Live. They're also on our Facebook Barvotti site. And so you can see them there, but they have not. We are going to have somebody come in and bring them down a little bit so that you don't have all the stuff repeated each time, just the stuff that's new and interesting. So this looks like pink toothpaste, or it's exactly what it looks like. And I'm spreading it with just one of the bigger modelers, and in this case I'm using a flat one. And I don't have to do this. I could do all the spreading with the other modeler, the one with all the teeth out of it, or teeth made into it, I guess. But I'm just hoping to get through some of these things today. And I'd love to have your feedback if you like the format better, or if you like to go back to the demonstrations. No, the other thing I can do is, I suppose I could tape the demonstrations, because they're all pretty, not identical, because it always depends on the kind of day. So here, I'm going to move these out of the way because I don't want to get my already done things done. So here I'm going to show you, let's get it in. Let's get it in a little closer. Going to zoom. Come on. That's too close. That's just about right. And then I'm going to focus it. And I'm also going to do that. So we're basically starting with the fun part. I prepared a few of the things before, so there, I've got a little bit of gold in there. I'll just mix it up. But it won't make any difference. By the time I'm through, this will be thoroughly mixed. And right now it sort of looks like sort of a dull pink. And when it's finished, it's going to be a beautiful, brilliant orangey pink. It might not be very orangey because there might not be that much gold in it, but it should be metallic. So this is just an extremely simple thing to do if you just want an interesting thing in your wall, or you're just playing with it. So, and you have a few minutes to try different things with it. So I'm just going to do that first before I say this is the final thing. And you can do the sides with the same stuff if you want. I haven't painted the black under the sides. So in this case, if I was going to do the sides with the same stuff, I probably would, I would definitely paint the sides black too. So what I'm going to do is just take a moment here and take that stuff I put along the sides, because I do want it to be consistent. So the consistency in this case is I will stick to the top surface of the board. And I do think we have enough on there. So just to play with some of the other tools before we finish it, I'm going to just show you some of the marks we can make, like that. And you can be mixing different colors together too. So that's my favorite flag mark. You can make circles, then you can cut through, and you can do many, many, many different things. And you can just keep going until, well, at some point the paint gets a little bit stiff, and that's when you probably should, make your final designs. I think I have a few here where I think I showed you this one. No, maybe not this one. I showed you one like this. And I think that's probably it. Oh, here. Now I got the idea for this. I just found this. I was looking for it a minute. I got the idea for this from a what do you call it? Royalty-free picture in Camtasia. And so I thought, oh, that looks like something we could probably do. And so that's what we did, is we tried to do that, and we're sort of getting closer and closer to it. And I think we finally got once we made the tool with the many teeth, we got very close, and we've got a few that look just as good as this one. And so it was a great idea, just coming from looking through pictures of what other people have done. So I'm going to just go back and finish this off so that you have an idea. The reason this works so well is that blade at the bottom is straight and firm, and the part that you haven't cut cuts right through to the black and gives us the black behind. Now, when I'm doing this as an artist, and you may not be interested in that or even notice it, I really like to do it so that it looks like I go right off the edge. So that my world of swirls continues beyond my surface. Now, that's a personal thing. You would do what you wanted, but that's what I like to do. So I don't know. And some of them I have changed, and I don't necessarily use this type of swirly brush. I've got another one here. It's very, very straight, but I can make it look straight. I can make it go like that, and then it looks a little different. So you can see it's not just the brush drawn across in a certain way. I mean, straightly. Straight, you can also make it wiggle and do things like that. So this is kind of a different look. I'm glad I picked that one up because that's interesting. I think I'm going to leave that. I don't like this little bit here because it looks a bit bald. So just before I stop, I will look at it and say, well, is there an area where... And the trick is to stop as soon as your eye says, that's okay, I like it, I'm stopping. And if you get beyond that point, that's not a big deal. You can always scrape it off and start again, or you can add some more moisture and keep going. I don't like these sort of angular bends. I like the curly bends, and I really like that one mark here that we did with that. So I'm going to finish with that. And that's done. And now I'm just going to go and what I did it before, which is to scrape off the extras on the side. Because with acrylic paint, it becomes like a solid. If you don't scrape it off when it's wet, well, you'd have to sand it off. I'm going to put this back, all this pink stuff back in there if I have any extra, because as long as I put the lid on with an acrylic paint and put a bit of, sometimes I spray a bit of water in, but I don't have to do that. This is moist enough. I'll be able to do that again. So. I'm not crazy about, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to do it. That's done. Okay. So that's our painting metallic paint on black today. And I'll just put it down here. We can look at it tomorrow or Monday. Monday is when we'll look at it. Now I'm just going to demonstrate how easy these are to clean off. You can usually just scrape a lot of it just off. And if you do have big gobs of a certain color, I even save gobs of stuff that with acrylic paint, even if they're not colors I like, because I sometimes want to do an underpainting or get a smooth surface painted any color as long as it's a smooth surface. So I don't usually throw out paint, and especially not paint that's got such lovely thickness in it, because that painted over a bumpy surface can actually give me a very good starting point for whatever I happen to be painting next. And I don't throw out my failed paintings, I just paint over them. And we're going to do that later in one of these. We made a poured painting the other day that I didn't like, so we're going to work over that. Now Previn's going to show you, I'm going to talk about my weave painting, or no? I'm just looking at these. And the time, okay, yeah, show the weave painting. Oops, okay. Just give me a moment to hide the painting behind here. Okay. I think I got it. No. Uh-huh. No, okay. Okay, here I am.
Yes.
This is the weave painting beside me. Okay, I tried to cover up this other painting behind and just show the weave painting. And I'm showing you the weave painting because it's one I did in art school. And it's a painting I did while I was at art school, so that's about 15 or more years ago. You can see the scraping through in the red at the bottom. I think, is it going in, is my hand in the right place, Bremen? Yeah. And the yellow bands at the top are caused by scraping through a surface layer of dark, I think it's almost black, to an underlayer of yellow. So that's why I'm not particularly concerned if I have paint on a painting. Sometimes I'll look at it and say, oh, I can use that and I can scrape through to that color or this color or whatever. So it's not, for me, about having always starting with the perfect surface. You can also see that there are horizontal and vertical fluorescent green lines poured across the surface. So what you're seeing there is that what you can see is that I'm obviously an abstract painter, and I can tell you I paint with acrylics, only with acrylics. I don't paint with oils. And I will be attempting, I have attempted recently, I've painted my dog, Iris, just because she was so hairy. And we were using some of these tools because they're very good at making those kinds of marks. But what I'm going to show you next, if you'll take down the weave painting, Previn.
Yeah.
Okay, and this painting, is it showing up now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do next is a couple of poured paintings. Now this is a portion of a poured painting. The poured painting is probably 16 by 16 inches, and I've taken a small portion of it, digitized it, took a really, really high resolution picture of it with my good scanner and sent it out and had it enlarged. And that's what I like about poured paintings. And I don't only do poured paintings. What I like about them is that you can work with the resolution. So you can have a tiny painting and you can send it out and have it printed much, much larger. The printer told me I probably could have made this like 3 times, 4 times the size and it wouldn't have lost resolution. So what we're going to kind of play with that today. And what I want to mention is that for me, a poured painting is not just about pouring paint on a surface and seeing what happens and fooling around with that. It's, for me, the moment of when I feel like an artist is when it's just set, and maybe a moment or two after, when it's stopped flowing, then I work into it and I start to make things. This one only has a few marks that I made, like it's got this one. So I pulled in from this red part here and went around in a swirl, and when I did that, I caught some of this and went around. So that made a major feature of this painting. So that was one of the marks. And then I also did here. So you can imagine I'm working on like a 5-inch by 5-inch thing, and I'm seeing these and I'm just going through in doing that. And I hope to be able to repeat that for you today. Okay? So we're going to be working on a small poured painting surface. Can you show Julie with her stuff while I get ready here, Previn? Because I have to do a bit of cleanup.
All of these products are paid for by me. I am not receiving any paid sponsorship for any of these mentions. Next up, from Barvotti.com are these rubber scraping brushes. I really like these to add texture and to smooth paint on my surface. They come in a variety of sizes. These two are my most favorite tools right now.
We're back, and we're getting ready to do a poured painting. And if you've never seen a poured painting before, I'm going to show you, while I'm getting ready here, I'm going to show you one that is 8 by 8 inches. Well, I'll show you the one we did last time. We did this one, and this one worked out a little bit better than the first one. So this is a poured painting. I think I'll just zero in on it here. Oops. I don't think I have to zoom, do I? No. So you can, I'm zooming right in so you can see how precise all the marks are. And now I'm going to zoom out so you can see that it is an 8-inch painting. There's a reason I do 8 inches after I started, because I realized that I would be scanning them at a very high resolution so that I can sell the enlarged version. So this is done on a little 8 by 8 inch board, and I made these myself. I had a chop saw for these parts, and I just got those from Home Depot, and Home Depot in Mexico would cut a whole sheet of very fine plywood up into little 8-inch squares for me at a very reasonable rate. So I was able to make these for a very inexpensive amount. So I'm going to leave that there. I've got another one that I have here. Oops, what happened to it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Doing all these things, I'm gathering all these stuff around my studio, so I don't always put them back in the same place. So here's one that I thought was very attractive, and I did this I was doing poured paintings 2.5 years ago, and I did a lot. And so this is one of the ones towards the end where I was starting to, I think, actually my experimenting was getting me into different colors and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go in and show you that it's these can be almost like experiencing a different world and playing with different colors. So I'm going to be using some of these colors today, and I'm going to try 2 different ways of pouring. So pouring actually doesn't take very long, so we're going to get started. Here we go. Put this back. Okay. And I need a pouring surface, a surface to pour on first of all. Oops. So here's a piece of whiteboard with a little bit of I didn't sand it. Now, I probably should have got one I did sand, but I want to keep that one for a slightly different pour. So to do this, it's extremely simple. And the first time I saw it, I was amazed. And if you're at all interested, I can tell you that there are hundreds of people.
You need to zoom out.
I have to zoom out, I was told. Okay. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Okay, here. You can see what's going on here. So there's a huge number of people that have taken up poured paintings and demonstrate them on YouTube, and that's where I found them. But I'm just going to show you a little bit about what I experimented with, and I haven't got it right now, but I have set up a fairly easy mechanical way to do all of this, so that it's very quick. That I mix all my paints ahead of time. I usually have them in little squeeze bottles, not like this, but we're going to do this today. So what you do is you have a thing of white, and then you just pour some colors that you like, that you think might go together in that. And when I first started, I actually used inexpensive house paint. The problem with that, the pours worked very well, but the problem with the house paint was that the paint faded shortly after, and they didn't mix as well as a really good quality artist paint. So these are not cheap artist paints, they're regular professional quality. And this time I'm adding a different kind of yellow than I did last time. And I was going to add this green, this blue-green. I mixed it up in two different ways, so I made an error and added white to one of them. And oh, I can see which one I added white to. It was that one. So it's like almost like painting with out of control, and then you have to quickly respond to what's in front of you. So it's a little bit like a game. So I'm not worried about having that. Actually, it's a good idea to have a little bit of water around the edge. I just remembered, I used to sometimes spray a bit of water around the edge, and just so it would move there a little bit faster. So I'm going to do that. So I put some water there. I used one of my clean cloths, and I just make sure, because it's about the paint spreading and how it spreads. And another part of the trick is, do you put enough in the cup, and do you put too much? And if you put too much in the cup, it'll go right off the edge. You'll make the most beautiful things, and they'll go right off the edge. So I think I've added all the colors here. I'm not sure. And you don't have to add so many colors. I'm sort of overdoing it. And this, I think, is blue with, I put some oil in one of the colors, and the reason that some people do that is they get interesting shapes. So now I can sit here. I don't actually mix it. Some people do. So I could just go, I don't know what that'll do, but I usually don't mix it. And this is called the flip method. So I've got my cup. I've got my little 8x8 inch board all prepared. I turn it over. Oh, it looks like it's going to be very yellow. But who knows? Who knows? It might look like a circus. It might look like something better. I don't know. And I can let it sit like this for a minute or two, and I can twist it or something when it's coming up. I haven't done enough of them to experiment with that. I made about 50 of them, and I covered them later with epoxy because that makes them look just beautiful. Here we go. So this is a little bit circusy, isn't it? And I'm hoping I put enough paint in there this time. I don't think I actually did. part of the reason I'm a little bit stingy with paint is because I'm so aware of when something amazing shows up, it'll just go floating off the edge. And can you see it there, Previn? Yeah. Tell me if I'm out of frame or anything, because... So let's see what we can do with this. So this is where I use my tools. Where are they? I put all the clean ones away. So I can use something like this and something like this. You don't have to do this sort of stuff, but sometimes you can do it. Oh, look, I've got what they call cells over there. So this is a situation where I really should have had a bit more paint on there. But we'll just play with it a little bit and see. Maybe we could put a little bit more paint in there. Maybe we could say, oh, maybe we'll put some of this beautiful, I think it's Payne's Gray, in here and just see if it... And I think my paint might be a little thick, though I did add quite a lot of liquid to it this time. So it was actually quite neat yesterday when I dipped more of this stuff in. So if you put more liquid in, you will end up with more organic shapes. If you start what I'm doing here, which is pretty much a no-no, you'll get these more jagged edges. So I'm a little bit reluctant to... Where's my... This is a Novaplex. This is just a medium. I'm just going to see what happens if I add a bit of medium around it. See if I can get it to flow a bit nicer. So I'm actually doing things that are there that never done before. So I'm looking at this saying, well, how can I turn this into something that's interesting? And I don't think I put enough red in. So I'm just gonna move around here. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to pour it off and use it again. I won't use the paint again, of course, but well, I could use the paint again, but I would use it for an underpainting or something like that. Well, that's actually pretty interesting. Let's see. Oops. Got paint on my camera. Let's see. I might leave it. I'm just gonna... I like it because it's round and it's not moving and going crinkly. And so I don't really want to move it around too much. I might finish these edges. So that they actually have paint on them. And what I'm going to do next time is something slightly different. So that's one. That's kind of pretty. I'd like to see more red in the rest of it. So the next one, I'm going to pour another one. And this time, oops. This time I'm using the... People who were watching before, if they could see through it, they can see that was the last one I did. Not on. This is the one I did on Monday, and I didn't like it because the lines I put in too soon, and they got too wiggly. So we're going to try one more. I've got some white paint here. I'm going to add quite a bit of liquid to it so that it'll go a lot further. In this case, the liquid is not water. It's what's called a medium. So it's going to be a lot more fluid. So right before your eyes, what we're doing is an experiment. Because I was going to try one with just the fluid medium, but I kind of think the white does help mix it up. So we'll just, rather than pour it into another little cup, we'll just work with this one. I'm going to put some blue in. So I did this for about 6 months. And what I would normally do would be set it up, and I'd do about 4 or 5 pours. And then of the ones that were worth keeping, which is usually 2 or maybe 3, I would let them dry, and then I would cover them with epoxy. And I used the tools that's so great for covering with epoxy is these shapers, or these ones, for spreading the epoxy there. It's really good stuff. So we're going to try this. I'm going to go like that. I don't know whether that'll do anything. Oops, I got too color in. Oh well. And this time I think I'm going to try and put a bit of red right down the middle and see. So I got so good at this at one point, it's hard to believe it now, I'm sure, but that I could pour the paint in such a way that I'd know where it might distribute itself. And it really isn't necessary to, do the flip cup thing. You can do that, but it's not necessary. You can pour it out just sideways from your cup, and you'd have a bit more control and things like that. So this is one way that I've done it. Certainly not all the ways that have been explored. And some results are quite beautiful. And I've been happy with the results that I've got, but maybe not so happy that I would, just do that. I like other kinds of painting as well, but I love to see things I've never seen before. And this has allowed me. Okay, that's a little different. So that's more like how a pour should come out, like quite a lot quicker. And let's see if we can get some. Too bad we got all these colors over here. Let's see. I never used to fool with it too much before, but I'm very tempted to fool with it right now. Just to see what happens. Oh, there it goes. And then you start to lose paint off the edges. And I'm just thinking I want to get some of this color down here, so that's why I'm doing that. Let's get some stuff up there. So I can play with this a little bit by just going, like, I'm not going right through to the bottom, but I'm pulling it quite a lot over. And like the paints separate because of their difference in specific gravity. And that's why the resolution is so so great. We'll just see if we can get rid of some of this stuff on this side. Say goodbye. Goodbye. Now, people who do this all the time, they'll add oil to it so that they can get, it'll make a certain kind of bubble, which is often referred to as cells. And I'm not actually trying to do anything like that right now. Okay. Now we'll take it back a bit. So even though it's not I don't know if there's something different about when I do it all by myself, whether it's more meditative or what, but and then I just let it go. But I think I have a little bit of anxiety because I'm doing it in front of people, and how come it doesn't turn out as well? I think it's actually quite pretty. Did I put it on my wall? I don't know. So that is the second one. So what I wanted to start talking about is that I would like to do kind of how-to things on the program so that we're not always doing the same thing. And for that, I need feedback. And I have taught quite a bit of art, either adults or children. And the way I generally operate, just so that you know why I need your help, is I come into the class and I ask people what they're interested in, what they want to do, and what's keeping them from doing that. Usually I have a chance. I give everybody something to do the first day, or, so that they can, but to give them a chance to think about what they'd like to paint, how they'd like to paint, and then I structure my classes around that. And that used to be very, very helpful. So if somebody liked to paint little landscapes or stuff like that, and we found something that they liked and something that they would like to paint, and we just work on what sort of things they would have to do to get the result that they wanted. And that's sort of like a beginning level, and we can do that kind of thing. And what I often did, just to get the ball rolling, I'd come in and demonstrate something and say, is this something you'd like, or would you like to do something else? Would you like to do this in a different way? And then we'd work on, solving the problems that needed to be solved to get there. And, sometimes the problems are we just don't have a big enough panel to paint on. So how do you go about doing that, all the way to you just want to make a house in perspective, or you want to finish your first painting is something that I think a lot of people have attempted to paint when they're just starting. I was certainly like this for years. I might have finished a painting or two when I was a teenager, and was able to take art classes at school. But as an adult, I'd often take a class. I'd never finish. I'd get started, but I'd never finish. And so it was kind of always, not very satisfying. So one of the things we can do is A to Z, how to do a basic landscape, how to get started, where do you start, what do you need? Because that's often a very good place to start. A landscape is a very good place to start. The other thing that's very good is many still lifes. And the real key to being a good painter is just do a lot. Don't worry about the ones that aren't successful. Just keep doing it. Because every time you do it, you won't make the same mistakes as you did before, or you'll make fewer of them. So that's kind of how people become painters. Certainly how I became. Yeah. So when I'm making a major painting, I usually start with many little tests to see, can I do this? Can I do that? How big do I want it? What colors do I want? How am I going to spread them? What techniques will I use? So painting is just, you start with a painting, and then at the end you have a painting. It's And then you end up with a whole bunch of little paintings along the way, which are really often quite a lot of fun and enjoyed, can still be sold or enjoyed by friends and family if they're not quite at the level that you want to actually market them. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going around the side and putting a little bit of finish of the same kind of paint on it, partly to use up my paint, but also partly to mean that I'm one step closer to saying that this is a little finished piece. I'm not going to put it back on this because I can see it's going to stick to there, and so I'll be laying it on a piece of butcher paper. So a couple of the things that we didn't do, which we normally do, we often do paintings on Yupo, paintings on butcher paper, things very quickly done. And we will come back and do some more of those another time. We'd really like to have any feedback. I'm looking at this terrible mess here. That you'd like to share so that we can do something that you would find interesting over time. So, are we just about through here, Previn?
We can run the methods.
Okay, Previn's going to show some of the methods that are used with our tools, and we're getting close to winding up. Oops. Thank you for joining us today. You can find us here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Central to do a demonstration and answer your questions, to try out new things, make a mess, have fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday, and that'll be our